I learned to lean into God in the dark and during the darkest period of my life. It was Easter weekend of 2012, and I had been invited by my boyfriend of 5 months to spend it with his family in Louisiana with my young son. So, despite my mother's objections at the way I physically looked and how I felt, I got on a plane and I flew to Houston and spent the night in Houston with my son. And at 3 o'clock that morning, I had what a lot of people describe as having a heart attack. Immense pressure. Felt like 50 knives were piercing my chest. And I was very sweaty, and I was very pale, and my body was on fire. And amidst all that pain, I heard the voice of the Holy Spirit say, "Lean forward and you'll be able to breathe." And so I did for 4 hours. And the next morning, I called my brother, a doctor, and I had already consulted with him based on the symptoms I had had the day before. And when he heard that I had been on a plane, his silence was deafening. He said, "You need to go to the ER right now, and you need to get a CT scan of the lung immediately. You cannot leave Houston without one." It was such an urgency in his voice. We immediately got to the ER, and within 20 minutes, I had had the CT scan of my lung that had revealed that I had pulmonary emboli in my left lung. I had 2 large ones, and it was the pressure I had felt the night before, and the reason why I couldn't breathe past a certain point. A pulmonologist came into my room and said, "A woman in your condition should not be sitting there talking to me right now." And so my journey started that day. The next day, they did another CT scan of my abdomen because in the original scan they found that my liver was inflamed, so they needed to check that out. And within 10 minutes of having the results, I got 6 doctors come into my room and say, "You're going to be admitted into ICU, Sylvia. We've already talked to your brother and we talked to your dad, and we're all in agreement. This is what we're going to do. You have a massive blood clot, and it's in your inferior vena cava. And if you don't know what that is, they explain this is what it is. It's the main vein that supplies blood to all your major organs, and it's putting pressure on your liver. And if it manages to cut off the blood supply to your liver, you're going to go into acute liver failure and require a transplant. So we're going to infuse you with this medicine. It's a really strong medicine. It's called TPA, and but you have all these side effects, to this medication, and among the side effects, the staph. So in that moment, everything stopped for me. Everything went in slow motion, and I had to, do you know what happens? Your mind goes completely blank. And I pictured God. I pictured leaning into God, literally falling into his arms, because I knew science was only going to go so far, and then he was going to come in. So I did that. And as they were wheeling me immediately to the ICU, I said, "God, I'm ready." But I lied because I wasn't ready. I had found the love of my life, and I did not want to lose that. And they gave me medications to put me to sleep, to calm me down. And I was very afraid of closing my eyes because I thought, if I close my eyes, I may not see them again. I may not see my boy or Donnie or my mom or anybody I love. So my life hung in a balance, a very delicate balance that day. And the next day, a woman came into my room and said, "Do you want to pray with me?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And we started praying, "Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." And I felt him in that room with me. He hugged me, and I knew I was fine. So the woman left, and Donnie turned to me and said, "You felt him too, didn't you?" And 15 minutes later, it had been confirmed. The threat was gone. The reason why this is so important is that the diagnosis they had given me gave me a 20% chance of surviving. So by leaning into God, I found my miracle on Easter Sunday.